All right, let's look at section 6.1, which is on functions. So we used to say when you were in middle school, what is 2x minus 3 when x is 5? And you took 5 and you simply plugged it in there and said, oh, 2 times 5 minus 3 is 10 minus 3. The answer is 7, Mr. Hickam. So that's what we used to do. Well, we're going to do it a little differently now. Okay. So now we write it in what's called function notation. Okay, in function notation, it says f of x is 2x minus 3. Find f of 5. Same thing. You're simply going to plug 5 in right there. 2 times 5 minus 3, you get the same answer of 7. It's just writing it a bit differently. And again, it's function notation. So problem 1 here, let's say, it says find f of negative 5. Problem 2 says find g of negative 3. The f and g tell you which function to go to. So problem 1 says go to the f function, which is right here, and the f function says do 4 minus whatever they give you. Well, what did I give you? I gave you negative 5. So that changes to a plus, and the answer is 9. F of negative 5 is equal to 9. What about g of negative 3? It says go to the g function, which is right here. And the g function says do 20 minus whatever they give you. X is whatever they give you. They gave us negative 3. And then they want you to square it. Now, it's very important. Whenever you square something, put it in parentheses, I beg you, especially if it's a negative number, or else you will get the wrong answer. So this is 20 minus negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. And then 20 minus 9 is 11. So we get 11. All right, one more example. What about h of negative 4? Well, pretty easy. The only function on the page is the h function. What does the h function say to do? It says take the opposite of whatever they give you. Well, they gave me negative 4. Add 4 to that, and then divide by whatever they give you squared. What did I do wrong here? You better put parentheses. So up top, we have that's a positive. The opposite of a negative 4 is a positive 4. So the top is 8. Negative 4 times negative 4, 16. Simplifies to a half. Okay, so those should be rather simple. You're simply plugging in. Okay, whatever they give you, it tells you which function to go to, plug that value in, and calculate the answer. Now, we've talked about domain and range before. Domain is what the x values are or can be. The range is what the y values are or can be. So let's consider this. What's the domain? The domain are which are the x values. And again, we know this, 2, 4, and 8. The y's, when we plug in 2, we get an answer of 3. When we have 4, we get an answer of 5. And when we plug in 8, we get an answer of 10. So there's our range. Okay, remember, the range is always the answer to what we're sort of when we plug the x value in. We're going to skip that. Function. For every x value, there's only one y value. Now, what does that mean? Well, here's what it means. It means if you and I are doing a problem and we plug x being 2 into the problem, you expect y to come out with one answer, maybe 8. You do not expect to plug 2 in and get an answer of 8 and then later on get an answer of 10, do you? No, never. So it's a function if when we plug in an x, we only get one answer out, which is what we're used to. However, there's situations where you plug an x value in and there's actually 2 answers. That would be a situation that says, hey, this is not a function. Okay? Most everything we've dealt with at this point in our lives is a function. Okay? So remember, for every x, there can only be one y value that comes out. So let's look at this. Would these points be a function? Well, let's see. I plugged x as 2, and I got an answer out of what? 4. I plugged x being 3. I got an answer of 6. And then I plugged x being 2, and I got an answer. Whoa, hold on. I got an answer of 9. Wait, you said when we plugged 2 in, we got an answer of 4. And here, when we plug 2 in, you got an answer of 9. You can't do that. When you plug 2 into the problem, you can only get one answer out. We got 2. So this is not a function. Okay, does that make sense? I hope so. Would these points be a function? Now, when I plugged in x, I got 2. When I plugged 2 in, I got an answer of 4. When I plugged 3 in, I got an answer of 4. When I plugged 7 in, I got an answer of 4. Now you're going, wait, no, that's okay. Imagine maybe X is the age of the child and Y is the cost to eat at a buffet. If you're 2 years of age, you're paying $4. years old, you're paying 4, and you're paying $4 if you're any of those ages. That is a function. It's okay. We did not plug x being 2 in and get 2 separate answers, did we? No. So that is a function. That is okay. For each x, you can only get one y value out. Okay, so when we plug 2 in, we only expect one answer out. Now, vertical line test. This helps us when we have a picture of the situation. So let's just plot some points. So let's say x is 2 and we get an answer right here at 3. When x is 3, we get an answer 1. When x is 4, I get 0. When x is 2, I got... Can that happen? When you plug 2 in, you got an answer here and here. You have 2 dots that are vertically in the same spot. That can't happen. This is why we call it the vertical line test. When x is 2, notice that my vertical line is hitting 2 answers. That tells me that is not a function. So what happens is we draw lines. So let's say we have this line right here. That picture of a graph. Is that a function? The answer is no. Because if I draw a vertical line, it's hitting in 1, 2 spots. So that is not a function. This is called the vertical line test because it's simply saying, hey, if I draw a vertical line, when x is -2, it's hitting in 1, 2 spots. So that does not work. Okay, what about another picture? Let's erase this guy. Oops, went too far. Let's say we have this line. Mr. Parabola. Is that okay? Well, let's draw a vertical line. It's only hitting in what? 1 spot. Vertical line. 1 spot. Vertical line. No matter where I draw my vertical line, it's only going to touch in 1 spot. Therefore, this is a function. It passes the vertical line test. Wherever I draw a vertical line, it only touches in 1 spot. So therefore, it is a function. And again, this is what they call the vertical line test. We now need to talk about the final idea, zeros of a function. Okay, this is a big concept. Important concept is what I mean by big concept. Zeros of a function. What that means is when we have a graph, the height is going to be at 0. That's what we call it, sort of the zero of the function. So let's say we have some parabola coming through and it does something like this. What are the zeros of this function? There's actually 2 because we're talking, hey, when does that line have a height of 0? The y value being 0. Well, it's where it crosses the x-axis. So when x is 4, the y value is 0. And when x is -3, the y value is 0, has that height of 0. So the zeros of this picture would be -3 and 4. Those are where the zeros are occurring. Okay. And it pretty much then means if we have an equation, if I plug 4 in, I'm going to get an answer of 0. If I plug -3 in, I'm going to get an answer of 0. So if we have functions like this, it says, hey, is 2 the 0 of the function f of x equals 8x minus 16? Well, all I do is if I plug 2 into that x and I get an answer of 0, the answer is yes. Well, 8 times 2 minus 16, 16 minus 16, 0. Yes, 2 is a 0 of the function. Now think what that means. That means that it actually is crossing at 2. When x is 2, it is crossing the x-axis right there where the y value, the height, is 0. And we actually do know the equation of this line because 8 is your slope. Minus 16 way down here would have been the y-intercept. So we would have a line like that. Now, is 5 the 0 of the function? F of x equals x squared minus 4x minus 5. X squared means it's a parabola. This guy's actually going to cross in 2 spots. Let's see, is 5 one of them? We're saying, hey, is this parabola coming through and crossing right there? Well, let's see. Plug 5 into the equation and see, do you get an answer of 0? So 25 minus 20 minus 5. That's 5 minus... We get an answer of 0. So the answer is yes. The other spot I'll tell you, because I know, is at -1. This guy's actually coming. Missed it. Hitting right there at -1. Going through it at -1. There's 2 zeros usually to parabolas, but we discuss that much later on. So the answer is yes, because when I plug 5 in, My answer comes out 0. So yes, that is crossing the x-axis at x is 5 and y is 0.